Picture this. A 17-year-old girl with striking blue eyes steps out of her mother's car at a lonely Nevada gas station just after dusk, waves casually, and disappears forever into a fluorescent-lit bathroom while her mother pumps gas 30 feet away. 8 years later, that same mother, now graying at the temples, hands permanently calloused from gripping steering wheels across 5 states, sits in an Arizona police station clutching folders that have become heavier than any suitcase she ever packed. Diana Matthews had not merely lost a daughter on July 17, 2017. She had lost the entire architecture of her future. The disappearance occurred during what should have been an ordinary summer road trip from Seattle to San Diego, mother and daughter bonding over roadside diners, singing along to old Fleetwood Mac songs, planning college visits. Emma had just finished junior year, dreamed of studying marine biology, loved tide pools, and stargazing. That gas station outside Mesquite, Nevada, exit 120 on I-15, was one of thousands of isolated fuel stops that America's interstates, places criminologists now call hunting grounds for human traffickers. Real FBI data from the National Human Trafficking Hotline shows that between 2015 and 2023, over 2,400 cases of suspected trafficking began at gas stations, truck stops, or rest areas. Many victims were lured with quick promises, help with a flat tire, a free soda, a phone to call home, then drugged, transported, and sold. Diana's first hours were textbook chaos. Frantic calls to 911. Local sheriff deputies arriving 40 minutes later. Security footage too grainy to show faces, no fingerprints, no witnesses willing to talk. Within days, the case was labeled runaway by some investigators because Emma had argued with her mother 2 nights earlier about curfew, normal teenage friction that suddenly became motive in the eyes of exhausted detectives. Diana refused that narrative. She hired private investigators until her savings evaporated, sold the family home in 2019 after her husband Greg died of a sudden heart attack. Doctors said stress played a role, moved into a small apartment, and turned every waking hour into research. She learned the geography of despair. I-15 through Nevada and Arizona, I-10 across New Mexico and Texas, I-40 in the Southwest. All arteries where trucking routes intersect with outlaw motorcycle clubs and loosely regulated gentlemen's clubs. The Iron Wolves MC, the gang that would later dominate her nightmares, had been federally indicted in 2014 for racketeering, methamphetamine distribution, and, quietly, facilitating prostitution rings across 4 states. Court documents from that case, Southern District of California, 2014 to 2018, describe how patched members used strip clubs as fronts for moving trafficked women between Phoenix, Albuquerque, Las Vegas, and Denver. Diana pinned maps to her apartment wall, red threads connecting disappearance sites like cruel constellations. She joined online support groups for families of trafficking victims, learned phrases such as grooming, trauma bonding, Stockholm Syndrome. Advanced English note. To go cold, a case, means investigative momentum disappears, just as to go viral means sudden widespread attention, the cruel opposites that defined her life. Philosophically, she clung to Viktor Frankl's teaching from Man's Search for Meaning. Even when everything is taken, one can still choose one's attitude. Diana chose persistence. Every morning she woke repeating the same mantra. Not today. Not without answers. She carried Emma's age-progressed photo in her purse like a talisman, showed it to waitresses, truckers, motel clerks, bartenders, anyone who might have seen those unmistakable blue eyes. 8 years taught her patience laced with fury, hope tempered by realism. She understood now why so many families give up. The system is not built for long searches. Compassion fatigue sets in, budgets shrink, memories fade. Yet Diana refused to fade. She became a student of patterns, a cartographer of grief. When a tip came through an anonymous post on a missing persons forum, a woman matching Emma's description seen disoriented at a truck stop 30 miles from Copper Canyon, Arizona, Diana loaded her folders, her binoculars, her courage, and drove east. The highway unrolled beneath her tires like an endless promise and an endless threat. Every mile whispered the same question. How far will love carry you when the world says stop? Copper Canyon smelled of creosote, diesel, and faint barbecue smoke when Diana pulled into the Desert Moon Motel at dusk. The clerk barely glanced up. She paid cash, took room 114, spread her folders across the chipped formica table like a general preparing for battle. Exhaustion pressed against her ribs, but sleep was a luxury she could no longer afford. Hunger, however, was immediate. Google Maps led her to the Roadrunner, a squat cinderblock building with a flickering neon bird above the door and a row of gleaming Harley-Davidsons parked like obedient soldiers. Inside, the air was thick with cigarette ghosts, despite the ban and Lynyrd Skynyrd. Diana ordered a burger and soda, sat at the bar's far end, practiced invisibility. Mike the bartender was kind in the distracted way of people who see too much sorrow. When 5 Iron Wolves members swaggered in, leather vests, weathered skin, patches declaring 1% of status, conversation dipped then resumed carefully. Diana had researched the club. Founded in the late 1970s in Southern California, they rose during the methamphetamine boom of the 1990s. 2000s, survived multiple RICO indictments by decentralizing operations, now controlled several gentlemen's clubs along desert corridors. Real ATF and FBI reports from 2018 to 2024 describe how outlaw motorcycle gangs shifted from drug smuggling to sex trafficking as marijuana legalization reduced profits and fentanyl competition intensified. Diana sipped her soda, eyes scanning. Then Viper extended his arm for a beer. The tattoo caught light. A woman's face, mid-20s, long hair, startling blue eyes rendered with almost photographic precision. Diana's glass froze halfway to her lips. Those eyes, Emma's eyes, stared back at her from another person's skin. Not coincidence. Not random ink. Ownership. Claim. Her pulse hammered so loudly, she feared the bar could hear it. She asked Mike casual questions. He lowered his voice. That's Viper. Lieutenant. The ink is Crystal, his girl. Works at the dollhouse. Place calls itself a gentleman's club, but everyone knows, he trailed off. Diana paid, left quickly, waited in her car until the bikes roared away, then followed at a cautious distance. Taillights led her past the town limits to a neon-pink silhouette glowing against black desert, the dollhouse. She parked far back, watched Viper's crew slip through a staff door while regular patrons lined up at the front. Binoculars revealed women moving between the main building and a low motel-like structure behind it, some escorted, some alone. Later, a woman emerged from shadows, slender, hesitant gait, long hair. Diana's breath caught. That walk, Emma's childhood limp from mild vestibular disturbance, never fully corrected. She snapped grainy photos, heart slamming against ribs. Back at a scenic overlook, she compared images to age progressions. Facial structure matched, posture matched, despair in the shoulders matched. 8 years collapsed into one trembling certainty. Emma was alive. Alive and branded, literally, on a trafficker's forearm. Rage arrived next, pure and white-hot. Diana had read survivor accounts. Women forced to take new names, tattooed with barcodes or gang symbols, conditioned to believe escape meant death for themselves or loved ones. She phoned Detective Wilson at 10:17 p.m. He listened, examined sent photos, admitted the Iron Wolves were already on radar for trafficking but lacked probable cause for warrants. Stay at your motel, he urged. We'll build the case properly. Diana agreed, then drove straight back. She changed into dark clothes, returned to the dollhouse, paid cover, entered the pulsing chaos of music and strobe. Ordered club soda, watched patterns, women leading men through back doors, disappearing for 20-40 minutes. A bouncer questioned her presence. Viper appeared. She improvised. I represent high-end clients looking for exclusive blue-eyed companions. The lie hung between them. Viper studied her, glanced at his tattoo, then nodded. Follow me. He led her through staff corridors, past cameras, into a private theater where wealthy men waited. Women were paraded like livestock. Diana sat rigid, bow rising, until Viper announced Crystal. Emma stepped into spotlight. Older, thinner, eyes downcast, makeup heavy, but unmistakably her daughter. Diana bit her lip until she tasted blood to stay silent. When the presentation ended, she claimed restroom need, slipped away, phoned Wilson again. She's here.
Right now.
They're selling her. Sirens eventually wailed in the distance. Wilson had moved faster than promised. But before rescue arrived, Emma appeared at the bathroom door, sent to check the visitor. Eyes met in mirror. Recognition.
Tears.
Whispered reunion. Mom, it's me. Then Viper burst in, saw the resemblance, understood. Rage replaced calculation. He dragged both women to an office, admitted he'd known Emma's identity when he bought her 3 years earlier. Rare eyes, he sneered. I collect beautiful things. Diana offered money. He struck her. Emma, seeing the ashtray, waited for distraction. Sirens grew louder. Emma swung. Diana tackled. Police stormed. Handcuffs clicked. Mother and daughter clung together amid chaos, 8 years dissolving in salt and sobs. What does it mean to carry love so fiercely that even time and evil cannot erase its shape? Flashback stitches itself into the present. Emma's abduction was clinical in its efficiency. 2 men in the gas station bathroom, maintenance uniforms, fake work order, offered help with a leaky faucet. Chloroform rag. Black van. Interstate. Las Vegas motel first, then Phoenix, then sailed to a mid-level trafficker, then 3 years ago, to Viper. He saw the missing persons alerts, recognized the eyes, paid premium,
Tattooed his claim.
renamed her Crystal, conditioned her with isolation, drugs, threats against imaginary family members still searching. Survivors of long-term trafficking described this phase as seasoning, breaking identity until escape feels impossible. Emma learned compliance saved pain, learned silence saved others from punishment. Yet she never fully forgot Diana's voice reading Goodnight Moon, never stopped calculating escape angles even when hope thinned to filament. Back in the office, Viper's gun wavered when sirens pierced night. Emma struck. Diana lunged. Officers flooded corridors. Viper down. Emma safe. But safety is not arrival. It is only the beginning of reckoning. At the ambulance, Diana held Emma while paramedics worked. Bruises bloomed on Diana's cheek. Emma's wrists bore old ligature marks. Detective Wilson confirmed 17 women rescued that night. More expected from satellite locations Emma named Tucson, Phoenix, Albuquerque. FBI joined within hours. Joint Task Force already tracking Iron Wolf's expansion into sex trafficking since opioid profits declined post-2018. Historical parallel. The 2019 Operation Cross Country, FBI-led, recovered 103 minors and arrested 160 traffickers in one weekend. Many rescues began with a single persistent tip from a family member who refused to accept runaway. Diana had become that tip multiplied by 8 years. Emma spoke softly in the cruiser. I kept track of routes. I memorized license plates. I listened when they thought I was too broken to understand. Her testimony would be gold. Dates, names, transfer methods. Yet every word cost her. Trauma researchers explain disclosure fatigue retelling reopens wounds. Diana vowed, "You're healing first. Testimony when you're ready." At the hotel under protection, they shared a bed, not sleeping, just breathing together. Dawn arrived gentle. Diana traced Emma's hand, the same long fingers that once played piano. Emma whispered fears. What if I can't go back to normal? Diana answered with truth. Normal changed. We build new. Philosophical anchor. Nietzsche's "What does not kill me makes me stronger" feels glib until lived. Real strength is choosing to feel again after numbness was safer. English learners note collocations, break down barriers, overcome obstacles, carry the weight, bear heavy responsibility, turn the page, move forward after hardship. Modern relevance. 2024 to 2025 saw increased U.S. public awareness of trafficking via documentaries and survivor-led nonprofits like A21 and Polaris. Many campaigns stress, see something, say something at truck stops and motels. Diana embodied that call before she even knew its name. Emma's courage, swinging an ashtray, naming locations, agreeing to testify, reminded Diana that survival is not passive, it is active reclamation. When love meets atrocity, it does not always win immediately, but it never surrenders quietly. What part of your own story are you still afraid to name, and what would change if you spoke it aloud? Court dates arrived in waves. Preliminary hearings first, Viper and 6 associates charged with sex trafficking of minors, forced labor, RICO violations, kidnapping across state lines. Emma testified via closed circuit from a safe room. Diana sat beside her, hand never leaving hers. Prosecutors used Diana's photos, Emma's detailed recall, seized ledgers from the dollhouse showing payments coded as entertainment fees. Defense tried victim blaming, suggested Emma had chosen the life. Emma met their eyes. No 17-year-old chooses to disappear from a bathroom. No one chooses to be branded. The room stilled. Jury convicted on all counts. Viper received life plus 30 years. Other locations raided. 29 additional rescues over 6 months. Emma attended every sentencing she could bear, watching men who once controlled her life lose theirs to steel bars. Healing ran parallel but slower. Therapy twice weekly, EMDR for flashbacks, somatic experiencing for body terror. Diana joined family sessions, learned secondary trauma, how a mother absorbs her child's pain until boundaries blur. Emma struggled with touch, flinched at sudden movements, yet craved Diana's hugs. Small victories accumulated. First walk without scanning exits, first laugh that reached her eyes, first college brochure opened without panic. Diana sold her apartment, bought a modest house outside Seattle with a garden Emma could tend. They planted lavender, Emma's childhood favorite, because fragrance can anchor memory to safety. Philosophical teaching, Buddhist concept of beginner's mind, approaching recovery without expectation, simply meeting each moment. They practiced it daily. English learners note phrasal verbs, open up, share feelings, work through, process trauma, grow apart versus grow together, their choice. Modern relevance. 2025 saw U.S. Congress pass the Trafficking Victims Prevention Reauthorization Act amendments, increasing funding for survivor housing and job training. Emma volunteered at a local shelter, sharing her story selectively, helping others name their own. Diana spoke at awareness events, showing maps she once pinned alone, now displayed as evidence of what persistence can achieve. Mother and daughter rebuilt identity together. Emma enrolled part-time in community college marine biology classes. Diana took photography courses to document healing instead of loss. Scars remained, nightmares, hypervigilance, trust fractures, but scars also prove survival. Emma tattooed a tiny compass on her wrist, not to cover Viper's mark, but to reclaim direction. Diana wore a silver locket with Emma's childhood photo opposite her current one. Symbolism mattered. They walked beaches Emma once dreamed of studying, collected shells, named tide pool creatures. Each discovery felt like defiance. Love, they learned, is not restoration to a lost past. It is creation of a new present. When darkness has held you for 8 years, light does not arrive all at once. It arrives in slivers, in shared silences, in the courage to keep choosing tomorrow. What broken piece of your own life are you ready to replant, and what might grow there if you refuse to abandon the soil? Years later, 2029, Emma stands at a podium in a university auditorium, marine biology degree freshly framed, speaking to incoming freshmen about resilience. She wears the compass tattoo, like quiet armor. Diana sits in front row, eyes shining, no longer searching but witnessing. Emma's voice carries steady. 8 years ago, I disappeared from a gas station bathroom. My mother never stopped looking. That refusal taught me survival is not luck. It is choice repeated daily. She describes the tattoo, the name Crystal, the compound, the ashtray swing, the sirens. She names no club, no man, court orders, but names patterns, isolation, highways, profit. Audience listens in stunned silence. Afterward, young women approach, some whispering their own fears. Emma listens, gives hotline cards, reminds them, "You are not alone." Diana photographs the moment, mother capturing daughter, reclaiming narrative. Back home, they cook dinner together, ordinary ritual, made sacred. Emma studies coral bleaching. Diana documents urban wildlife. They travel, carefully, to places Emma once dreamed of seeing. Philosophical closure. Camus' absurd hero who finds meaning in revolt against meaninglessness. Their revolt was love made stubborn. English learners note idioms. Turn over a new leaf. Start fresh. Weather the storm. Endure hardship. Find one's voice. Gain confidence to speak. Modern relevance. Global anti-trafficking efforts grew stronger post-2025 with AI facial recognition at borders and truck stop apps reporting suspicious activity. Emma and Diana co-authored a memoir, not for fame, but for archives, proof that one mother's refusal rippled outward. The blue eyes that once marked possession now mark legacy. Emma's TEDx talk viewed millions of times, training modules for law enforcement using her testimony framework. Viper died in prison 2031. News brought no joy, only quiet closure. Diana and Emma planted a tree each anniversary, lavender beneath it, memory garden expanding year by year. They never returned to that Nevada gas station. Some places belong to history, not pilgrimage. Instead, they drive new highways, windows down, music loud, choosing destinations together. The horizon no longer feels like threat but invitation. Love did not erase the past. It enlarged the future. In the end, the most powerful message is simple. Persistence is not always rewarded with happy endings, but it is always rewarded with meaning. When the world tells you to stop searching for a person, for justice, for yourself, ask one question. What happens if I keep going just one more mile? Sometimes that mile